The chapter opens with a young man named Keisuke Nijima, who works in the sales department. He's in a business meeting, presenting a new electronic payment method. After hearing Nijima's proposal, the boss looks unconvinced. However, the atmosphere shifts when a young woman stands up and expresses her support for the idea, saying she sees great potential in it. Following this, they begin testing the idea in a few local businesses as part of a small trial period. As they walk back afterward, Nijima thanks Takai for accompanying him. His stomach growls loudly, revealing his hunger, and he mentions that he couldn't eat breakfast due to his nerves. Takai laughs and comes up with a quick idea. She takes him to a park and shares her homemade lunch with him. Nijima is amazed by the taste of her food and happily tells her how delicious it is. Seeing his joyful reaction, Takai is pleased, as she's never seen anyone enjoy a meal with such enthusiasm. That night, while at home, Nijima struggles to find the right way to thank Takai. He thinks that simply thanking her without asking her out might be enough, but in the end, he decides to take a chance and sends her an invitation exactly as he'd written it. He's surprised when Takai responds positively. Years go by, and we see Nijima and Takai get married and have a daughter named Mai. The passage of time is shown through Mai growing from a child to a teenager, while Nijima and Takai seem to live a very happy life. It's clear how much Takai cares about her husband, lovingly making him lunch every day because she believes it helps her worry less about him. However, something changes, and through a few scenes, we see a saddened and dejected Nijima. It seems all those happy moments were just memories. We return to the present, where Nijima is sitting on a bench with a sad expression as he answers a call. He mentions that it's been 10 years. At the office, the sales manager gives Nijima a small memento from a trip and asks him to share it with his daughter. He also takes the opportunity to invite Nijima out for a drink, saying it's been a long time since they last hung out, but Nijima declines the offer and apologizes. Just before arriving home, Nijima reflects on how, 10 years ago, his life came to a halt. After arriving home and having dinner with his now-grown daughter, we see a flashback of Nijima frantically running through a hospital. When he reaches his daughter, it's revealed that Takai had passed away. At that moment, the sound of the doorbell brings us back to the present. A little girl is at the door, quickly announcing that she's back. Nijima, utterly confused, asks if she's at the wrong house. The girl assures him that this is her home, and she introduces herself as Takai Nijima, his wife. After a brief questioning, the young girl correctly answers all the personal questions Nijima asks, from memories about their daughter to the moment when he proposed. Even so, the situation remains baffling for all three of them, but Takai believes it's a result of reincarnation, as she died 10 years ago, which happens to be her current age now. Although she doesn't remember much, she says that everything suddenly came back to her. Nijima comes to realize that she really is his wife, as her personality and manner of speaking are exactly the same. After this, Takai is thrilled that they've finally recognized her, and immediately begins scolding them for the poor eating habits they've developed since she passed away. After chatting for a bit, Takai mentions that she has to leave as it's time to return to her current home. However, she promises to make them lunch on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Before leaving, she admits that even though this whole situation may seem strange, she's happy to see them both after so long and promises to return. As Nijima watches her go, he can't hold back his tears and runs after her, hugging her tightly. He tells her how much he's missed her, how much she's meant to him. Despite this, Takai gently reminds Nijima that he needs to focus on their daughter and get himself together. He should have moved on by now. She also tells him that he needs to change his attitude and show that he has a future ahead of him, as her return is a miraculous second chance. With that, Takai lifts both their spirits and says goodbye. Nijima and Mai quickly pull themselves together and vow to work hard to move forward. The next day, Nijima appears much more cheerful, being proactive and kind to his co-workers, who are surprised by his sudden change in attitude. Afterward, Nijima eagerly heads to breakfast. He tells himself he never thought he'd be able to taste Takai's cooking again. As he begins to eat, a woman approaches and asks if she can sit next to him. It's Moriya, a co-worker. Surprised by his newfound cheerfulness, she asks if something good has happened recently. Without going into detail, Nijima tells her he's regained something very important to him, and because of that, he's found the will to live again. Moriya admits that she noticed him because of his smile, as she's never seen him smile before. Realizing what she's just said, she apologizes. They start eating, and Nijima asks if Moriya makes her own breakfast. She replies that she does, though she thinks she might be the only one who does. Nijima compliments her, saying he admires people with the discipline to cook every day. It reminds him of his wife. Touched by his words, Moriya thanks him and asks if he'd be her lunch partner, explaining that his motivation has inspired her to cook more and she'd love to share meals with him again. Nijima happily agrees. Later that day, Takai meets up with Nijima. She's struggling with her new phone and complains that her small hands make it hard to use. Unable to resist, Nijima snaps a few pictures of her, thinking she looks adorable and wanting to set her as his phone wallpaper. When Takai notices, she asks him to delete the photos, warning him that it's weird and could even get him arrested. At that moment, Mai arrives, fresh from job hunting. Takai can't help but admire her daughter, telling her how beautiful she looks. Meanwhile, Nijima, excited, gets up and announces he's going to make katsudon, while Takai and Mai watch him fondly. The next day, Takai waits outside Nijima's house with a packed lunch for him to take to work. He's thrilled to receive the meal, admitting he didn't think she would come. Takai brushes it off, saying it's just leftovers from the night before, but Nijima doesn't believe her, and jokes that she must have been dying to see him. Takai shivers at his teasing. At work, Moria mentions that she prepared 2 lunches, so Nijima decides not to refuse her food and saves Takai's lunch for later. Later, tired of waiting for Nijima, Takai leaves as it's getting late. While walking through the park, she spots Nijima eating the lunch she prepared and confronts him. When she asks why he didn't eat it at work, Nijima explains that someone else brought him lunch and he thought it would be a good chance to socialize, so he accepted. Takai quickly asks if the person was a woman, how old she was, and whether she was single. She thinks Nijima is oblivious for not realizing what's going on, but Nijima has no idea what she means. Takai then asks if he feels embarrassed eating in the park. Nijima admits he does, but he'd rather do that than let her efforts go to waste. He adds that the worst part is not being able to say his wife lovingly made the meal for him. Takai tells him not to say that out loud, or people might think he's strange. Recalling everything he lost when she passed, Nijima kneels down and tells Takai that he wants to cherish every moment with her and never lie to himself again. In this way, it becomes clear that Nijima truly loves his wife. The family is enjoying a wonderful day at the aquarium. Mai, for her part, is happy they can spend time together, to which Takai responds that it's been more than 10 years since they did something as a family, so they should just have fun and enjoy themselves. Meanwhile, Nijima feels like this is all a dream, as the peaceful day off seems surreal to him. As he reflects on this, tears of happiness begin to fall. Takai notices and playfully punches him, telling him to calm down. Later, while mother and daughter chat about Mai's job situation, Takai tries to encourage her daughter not to get discouraged, assuring her that she will find her place little by little. At that moment, Nijima interrupts, agreeing with Takai and adding that Mai is the sun that brightens their lives. As Takai enjoys her ice cream, she reflects on how, since regaining the memories of her past life, she has started spending more time with Nijima and Mai, just like she used to. However, no matter how much fun they have together, at the end of the day, they each go back to separate homes. A few days later, while feeding Nijima, Takai seems restless. Nijima quickly notices and decides to pay for all the lunches he has made for her. However, Takai is shocked by the amount of money he wants to give her. He insists that it is too much and points out that it would be suspicious for an elementary school girl to have that much money, so he only accepts 1,000 yen. At work, Nijima talks to Mariah, who mentions that he spent a day with his family at the aquarium. Mariah wonders if when Nijima says family, he means his daughter's family, but Nijima quickly clarifies that his daughter is still single and just looking for a job. They simply needed a change of scenery. As Nijima prepares to eat, he briefly wonders if it's really okay for Takai to be in elementary school, considering she's actually around 40 years old. Now we follow Takai at school. Things seem to be going well until a small argument breaks out among her friends. Takai steps in as a mediator, and in the end, it turns out to be just a simple misunderstanding between the kids. However, Mayumi tells Takai that talking with her makes her feel old, and that boys don't like bossy girls, so she'll never get married. Just then, a boy named Takeru appears and says that he likes her just the way she is. After school, Takeru insists on walking Takai home. He mentions that she seems different, as if she's happier now. He also tells her that he was worried about her, and brings up the fact that she changed her last name last year. Despite this, he's glad to see her doing well. When Takai gets home, she remembers that her parents divorced last year, though she doesn't remember much from that time. Luckily, she's home alone now. This brings back memories of a few days ago, when her mother confronted her after her day at the aquarium. Her mother asked her why she came home so late, where she'd been, and who she'd been with. She then asked how Takai was able to pay for her outing. Takai told her that she'd been saving up the lunch money her mother gave her, but this answer didn't sit well with her mother, who demanded the leftover money. After giving her mother a handful of coins, her mother said that it wasn't enough and accused her of hiding more money in her room. She then proceeded to search Takai's room. This alarmed Takai, as she had a phone hidden in one of her drawers that she used to communicate with Nijima. After making a mess of Takai's room and even pushing her, her mother was about to open the drawer with the phone inside. At that moment, his mother received a call about work. which put an end to his search. When he returned, his mother warned Takai not to lie to her again or things would get worse. Back to the present. After remembering everything, Takai wonders if reconnecting with the Nijima family was a good idea after all. Meanwhile, Nijima is having a conversation with his daughter. He asks if she would like to do something during the summer. Mai replies that she would love to go on vacation, but it would be complicated because of her mother. Nijima agrees, but suggests that maybe she could ask her parents for permission. Mai quickly points out that no parent would let their child go on vacation with strangers. After hearing this, they decide to do something for just one day, but first, they need to ask Takai what day she would be available. Takai, aware of her complicated situation with her mother, knows they won't be able to meet for a while. However, she overhears her mother talking about a trip, so she tells Nijima that she'll be free on July 28th. Immediately, Mai realizes the date seems special. Nijima excitedly starts planning a bunch of family activities for that day, overflowing with happiness. Takai, on the other hand, reflects on everything that's happening. She mentions that she only wanted to see how her family was doing, but seeing how Nijima hasn't been able to get over her death, she couldn't resist getting involved. However, she now has a new family, her new mother, and she knows that if her relationship with her old family were discovered, it would be disastrous. Therefore, she decides that the next time they meet, she will tell them they can never see each other again. During the outing, they first decide to take a picture, which Takai asks them to send to her later. However, Nijima notices something different about her. After that, they play some nearby games where Nijima gets stuck, but Takai quickly comes to his rescue. After enjoying a few more activities, they take a break. Takai can't stop thinking about when would be the right moment to tell them they won't be able to see each other anymore. Mai notices her mother is acting strange and asks if she's okay or if she's tired, but Takai tries to hide her unease. At that moment, Nijima grabs Takai from behind and lifts her onto his shoulders, saying how lucky he is to be able to carry his wife piggyback. Takai quickly tells him to put her down, insisting that piggyback rides are for kids, and in her case, he should carry Mai instead, but Mai says that would be even worse. After a long day, they finally return home. Considering whether to order something for dinner, they decide not to. Soon, Takai sits down and gazes at Nijima, remembering everything that has happened since she returned. She knows the Nijimas have been very kind to her and have made her very happy. Just as she's about to tell them the truth, the lights suddenly go out, and they see Mai holding a small cake. It turns out that the day was her old birthday, and Nijima and Mai had remembered it, as they could never forget such an important date. Despite everything, they are still family. After blowing out the candles, they decide to turn on the lights, but Takai says she needs to go to the bathroom, so she offers to turn them on herself. Nijima and Mai wonder if this celebration helped cheer her up a bit, as they noticed she seemed off all day. Nijima suggests that she is probably going through a tough situation, not to mention everything else she's facing right now. They recall how she used to be, strong, but always keeping her problems to herself. Now, the only thing they can do is support and help her however they can. Takai, overhearing everything they're saying, can't hold back her tears. Later, we see the three of them enjoying the cake together. Mai asks her mother what it was that she wanted to tell them. Takai quickly responds that she just wanted to thank them for today's celebration. Mai, in turn, thanks her while starting to cry. In an instant, all three of them begin crying, as it's a very emotional moment for them. Takai reflects. She has no idea why she was reincarnated, but she knows she wants to be with them, as they are the sun that brightens her life. Nijima and Takai are very happy for Mai and her new job. They both congratulate her and give her a small cake. It seems that at her new company, she will be teaching clients how to use the computer. She has already been assigned a new client for Friday, which means that she will be home late that day. Hearing this, Nijima feels that it is a shame, as he had planned to go see the fireworks. This brings back memories for Takai, as the last time they went as a family, a young Mai did not want to go home after the event ended. Mai blushes slightly and asks her parents why they are not going alone. However, Takai's family will be home, so they will not be able to go. At that moment, Mai remembers that the reason she did not want to leave back then was because she did not want that beautiful moment to end. That day, at Nijima's workplace, he was chatting with Maria and noticed that coincidentally, she was also going to see the fireworks with a friend. Nijima mentions that he had planned to go as well but couldn't because his daughter has a work trip. He explains that his daughter wants to work in a customer-facing position, and since she's his only daughter, he's very proud of her. Maria replies that she must be an amazing girl, to which Nijima replies that she takes after her mother. Meanwhile, Mai meets her new client. She will be in charge of interacting with the clients and handling updates, as they will be in charge of managing the website. The client's father calls his son, Renji, to learn how to manage the website. so they will teach him how to do it. However, Renji doesn't seem too enthusiastic since it's his day off, but he eventually agrees, even though he thinks it's all a hassle. Thus, Mai and Renji are left alone. Although this situation makes Mai feel quite uncomfortable, she does her best to do her job. Later, Mai mentions that she feels exhausted because working with that boy was very tiring. He was quite abrupt, and she found him a bit intimidating. She's not even sure if she learned properly, as she never asked him anything about the subject. Mai knows that he still has a hard time connecting with people. On the other hand, Takai was doing her homework, thinking that maybe as an elementary school student, she should answer some questions incorrectly. At that moment, she receives a call from Mai, who just wanted to hear her mother's voice. Mai tells him that she still finds it difficult to connect with people. Takai tries to calm her anxiety, telling her that not everything goes perfectly on the first try, and that maybe she should follow protocol less and be more herself. Maybe then, she would understand others better. At that moment, Takai suggests that they go see the fireworks, since it seems that they will be able to go after all. Mai asks about her father and wonders if he will be invited as well, but Takai mentions that it is a weekday and he might be busy. Meanwhile, Nijima looks at his watch and says that he could make a small detour. Just then, Moria, who was walking by with her friend, bumps into Nijima. It turns out that he is also going to see the fireworks. Moria's friend, seeing him, realizes that this is the man Moria had been talking about and introduces himself as Kikuchi. Without hesitation, she invites him to join them. Once at the venue, Nijima sets up his spot to watch the show, while the two friends decide to go grab something to eat. Left alone, Moria asks Kikuchi why he invited Nijima. Kikuchi quickly explains that he's happy that Moria can finally talk to a man, as he's been avoiding them since high school. When Moria told her that he was getting along with a co-worker, Kikuchi wanted to see for herself what kind of man he was. Now that she's met him, she thinks he's a little old for Moria, but he seems nice. Moria quickly clarifies that Nijima is just a friend and rushes back to him. Meanwhile, Nijima is wondering where Mariah and her friend are when he unexpectedly runs into Takai. She tells him that Mai will be arriving soon as well. Nijima explains that his original plan was to come alone, but he ran into someone from work on the way. Still, the fact that Takai is there too must be fate, especially considering that she was reborn. This infuriates Takai, and she tells him not to talk about it in public as she nudges him. Just then, the first burst of light echoes across the sky. They are both in awe as they can finally watch the fireworks as a family again, remembering the promise they made that time. As Takai holds Nijima's hand, he looks over and sees the adult form of his wife, holding his hand and apologizing. At that moment, Maria arrives, and seeing Takai, asks who she is. Nijima, about to say that she is his wife, is stopped by a stomp from Takai, who quickly asks Moria if she is friends with his uncle Nijima. Takai then thanks Moria for being kind to his uncle and introduces himself to Marika Shiraishi. Moria also introduces herself, mentioning that Nijima has also been very kind to her. Nijima adds that Moria was the one who made her lunch that time. Takai, wondering if this young girl might be in love with Nijima despite being so young, notices that Moria doesn't seem bothered at all and even offers her some yakisoba. Furthermore, Takai notes how polite Moria is and how excellent her manners are. He thinks that if she were a man, she would go crazy for her. He considers it very lucky that someone like Moria is interested in Nijima. Although he finds it hard to admit since she is his wife, he quickly excuses himself to go find Mai, leaving them alone. Moria, noticing that they are alone, tells Nijima that he seems to get along well with his niece. Jokingly, Nijima replies that they have been together for 30 years, which makes Moria laugh when he tells him that he didn't realize he was such a joker. While Takai searches for Mai, Moria decides to stand up to make room for Nijima's daughter. However, at that moment, she slips on a soda can and falls to the ground. Nijima immediately tries to catch her, but just as he does, Mai arrives and sees the scene, her father hugging another woman. Takai quickly arrives and tries to calm the situation, explaining that Uncle Nijima ran into a friend from work and that they are all here now. However, it is too much for Mai, who apologizes and leaves the scene. Takai follows her, both of them heading home. Moria, seeing what happened, feels terrible and asks Nijima to apologize to his daughter on his behalf. At home, Nijima tries to talk to Mai, who asks him what kind of relationship he has with that woman. Nijima explains that they recently became friends at work and occasionally have lunch together. Mai stands up from the table, upset, unable to believe that her father could be friends with someone so young, thinking it's inappropriate. Nijima doesn't understand why Mai is so bothered. Takai, on the other hand, sympathizes with her daughter, pointing out that after being apart for 10 years, now that the family is back together, Mai is very happy and is having a hard time accepting the presence of a stranger. Realizing what's going on, Nijima feels terrible and explains that he was just trying to catch Moria when she fell. Takai tells him that now that Mai is back with them, she feels like she's 10 years old again, and as her mother, she plans to talk to her. On a more serious note, Takai tells Nijima that when he left, they were both stuck in time. That's why she wanted him to be there for Mai, to accept and understand her pain. If he had done that, maybe he would have been open to new relationships. However, she apologizes, acknowledging that she was the one who left and that maybe she shouldn't be lecturing. Mai tells her mother that she may have been too harsh on her father, but also expresses her concern for this woman, as she is very beautiful and Mai is afraid that her father might fall in love with her. Takai replies that in the eyes of society, her father is single, so there's nothing wrong with that. She reveals that when she decided to reunite with her father, she was prepared to accept if he remarried. Therefore, in her new life as a child, she can't live with them, and there's nothing wrong with starting over with someone else. Precisely because she cares, she doesn't want her father to be alone because of her. She wants him to be happy. Although Mai still doesn't fully accept him, she admits that it's a miracle that he's there with them, and she doesn't want to lose that again. What she really wants is for the three of them to be a family again, like before. At that moment, Nijima, who had been listening from behind the door, calls out to them. He has made a small makeshift marriage certificate and tells them that in the eyes of the world, they may be strangers, but with this piece of paper, at least between them, it will be clear that they are still a family. Although they know this deep in their hearts, he believes it is necessary to put it in writing to avoid any doubt. Nijima apologizes to Mai, saying that after their mother left, he was never there for her as a father. He tells her that if he had shared the burden with her, in time, Mai could have returned to being the cheerful girl she once was. Finally, Nijima confesses to Takai that during those 10 years, many people suggested that he remarry, but he never wanted to do it because it's not easy to replace someone. He reveals to her that his feelings for her haven't changed during all this time and probably never will. Thus, the three of them sign the certificate, marking that they are still a family. Afterwards, Takai heads home, feeling very happy. Mai expressed her feelings, and Keisuke took a big step forward. Still, Takai reflects on what he said about accepting if Nijima remarried. The truth is, she still loves him. Mai is deep in thought and seems somewhat nervous. This intensifies when Nijima enters the room. Immediately, she notices what is going on, so she asks him what is wrong and if he doesn't plan on returning to the same place he went to yesterday. Mai asks her father what he does when he is faced with a difficult client. Nijima tells her that what he does is try to listen carefully and just be himself. Mai remembers that this is the same advice that his mother gave him, so he tells his father that he and his mother are the same. Mai arrives at work earlier than usual, and after walking a bit, he sees his client Aikawa in the distance. When he sees her approaching, Aikawa wonders if it is time yet, but Mai replies that it is not, that he was just early. She then thanks him one last time and asks if there was anything he didn't like, as she feels that she did not make herself understood well. Aikawa tells her that it was the other way around, that she explained everything perfectly, but that he is useless with computers. Still, thanks to his help, she's coping a little better now. This reassures Mai, but the conversation trails off, leaving an awkward silence. Just then, Aikawa catches something, which surprises Mai. Curious, she can't help but look at the nice catch, and asks if it's wonderful to live by the sea. Aikawa tells her yes, but that it's also scary sometimes, as when the sea is rough, the waves can be as high as mountains and swallow things in the harbor in an instant. She tells her that 8 years ago, the sea took one of her friends. Mai asks if she's ever thought about moving somewhere else, but Aikawa tells her no, that although it's scary, if something bad happens next time, she'll probably lose her life. But if she looks at it another way, maybe she can save someone. This impresses Mai, as she can't believe that she's gotten over such a terrible and sad event, and finds it admirable, which inspires her to become a better person. Aikawa mentions that he's not worthy of admiration, that he's just a regular idiot who sits around fishing, hoping that his friend will come back someday. After this, they both head to the office. Takai, who is at home, checks her phone and seeing that she hasn't received any messages from Mai, assumes that her day has gone well. It's time to do some shopping, but just then, she runs into Moriah, who immediately recognizes her. Meanwhile, Nijima, who was working, receives a call from Moriah, telling her to take her niece out to dinner. Takai, now at Moriah's house, thinks to herself that she didn't expect him to invite her to dinner, but the truth is, if she were Moriah, she might have done the same. Maria tells her that she couldn't possibly finish that much food on her own, so she thanks him for coming. Takai can only think that Moriya's kindness is so natural that she is surprised that he didn't want to talk to his parents about having dinner with her. She wonders how such a nice young lady could want Keisuke. Takai apologizes for what happened last time, as she feels that Mai was very rude to her, but Moriya immediately says that there's no need, that on the contrary, she should be the one to apologize to Mai for the misunderstanding. Takai mentions that she seems to be good friends with his uncle Keisuke, and Moriya replies that yes, they've been having lunch together lately and talking more often. Takai asks if she likes him, but Moriya replies that she's never thought about it, that they're just good friends. Also, she admires Nijima a lot because when she was young, she always had trouble talking to boys. Still, in high school, a boy confessed to her, and she had her first relationship, but she doesn't have good memories of that experience. Since then, she's tried hard to avoid men, but when she joined the company, she met Nijima and saw the kind of person he was. She'd never met a man as upright as him, and ever since then, she's admired him. After so long, they finally started getting to know each other. Moriya had always thought that Nijima didn't want to talk to anyone, as she was told that he had become very lonely after the passing of his wife, whom he must have loved very much. Moriya used to avoid people because she was afraid of getting hurt. However, she realized that although you can get hurt, you can also meet someone you like. That's why she decided to stop being afraid of getting close to someone, and it's all thanks to Nijima. After this, Moriya apologizes for talking about herself so much, but Takai is glad since they now know each other better. Moriya still finds Takai a little mysterious and wonders why she shared all that about her private life with her. The girl looks at Takai and jokingly tells her that in some ways she resembles Nijima, which bothers the little girl a little, who says that she doesn't look like an old man in a shirt, although she says it in a mocking tone, and they both start laughing. At home, Takai is happy that Keisuke has someone like that girl under his wing. However, he believes that respect and admiration can turn into attraction. Just then, Mai sends him a message asking about interesting places in Tokyo. She also mentions that she feels good being herself with Aikawa, as she has promised to take him to see the city. The next day, Aikawa meets Mai on the subway. A little embarrassed, he tells her that he got lost, as the subway seemed like a maze to him. Still, he thanks Mai for spending the day with him, as he was looking forward to this encounter. During the tour, Aikawa tells her that the reason he wanted to visit Tokyo is that his father told him that he should go out more and see the world, and that it is good to get to know places little by little. They arrive at a small place that Mai chose because it is very popular. However, there are a lot of women there, which makes her think that Aikawa might feel out of place. But he doesn't seem to mind, mentioning that he only usually eats ice cream in the summer. As they talk, Mai realizes that Aikawa is a very calm and nice guy. Aikawa ponders for a bit, and wonders why people get married. He comments that he's too busy with his own things, so thinking about starting a family right now would be too much. May replies that she's not one to decide whether marriage is good or bad. However, when she sees her parents and how they try to solve their problems together, it always cheers her up and reassures her. Still, she wouldn't know what to say about marriage itself, but she thinks it must be nice to be with someone you love and trust. This answer seems to please Aikawa, and he lets Mai know about it. Later, they part ways. Aikawa thanks him for taking him to so many places, telling him that he had a lot of fun. Mai replies that she still had a couple of famous places to show him, but they didn't have time. Aikawa suggests leaving that for their next outing. Meanwhile, Takai, who is with Nijima, receives a message from Mai. He asks if, now that Aikawa has asked him on a date, does it count as them being a couple? Takai replies that it depends on how he feels, that if he likes her, then he should follow his heart, but for the moment, he should have fun. Quickly, Mai asks him not to tell her father, as he wouldn't be able to handle the news. At that moment, Nijima approaches Takai to ask about Mai, and Takai simply tells him that Mai will be back when she's done with what she's doing. Takai is glad that his daughter has a date, as it means that all his efforts have paid off. However, he also thinks that his mother has been going out a lot lately and seems happier. We now cut to Takai's mother, who is arguing with a woman over some coupons. Soon, a man named Hiroki arrives. Takai's mother tells him to wait outside, as his shift is almost over. They talk while eating something. Hiroki mentions that his offices are moving, so he won't be able to visit her as often. Takai's mother says that she will then quit her job. Hiroki, while looking at her somewhat thoughtfully, mentions that he met her there a year ago. She was a grumpy but beautiful employee, which encouraged him to talk to her, and it worked. She tells us that before she left her ex-husband, she tried hard to make her marriage work, as they were starting a family, and she didn't want to lose that. She didn't need to have it all to be happy. She just wanted to have a family and a home that she could be proud of. She didn't ask for more, but everything fell apart because she was betrayed and her world fell apart. So, she asks Hiroki if a person who has already made a mistake is doomed to fail again and again. Hiroki answers that it depends. If the person refuses to change, failure is guaranteed, but if not, things can go well. At that moment, a child tries to scare Hiroki, but he responds in a very kind way. Seeing this, Takai's mother realizes that Hiroki likes children. A few days later, the woman introduces him to Takai, her daughter. Hiroki mentions that he didn't know she had such an old daughter. Takai's mother apologizes for not telling him sooner. Takai can't believe that her mother hid it from her. Takai's mother thought that if she told her, Hiroki would end their relationship. However, Hiroki answers that she would never have done it. Apparently hesitant, she tells Hiroki that she had the idea that the three of them could live together, and he doesn't mind the idea. The woman then excuses herself and goes to the bathroom, leaving Takai alone with Hiroki. He chats with Takai for a bit, and apologizes for putting her in such a difficult situation. Here we learn that the reason Takai's mother's parents divorced was because her father was addicted to gambling. However, when her mother got married, she promised not to make the same mistake. But when she got divorced, she ended up blaming herself. Hiroki mentions that starting a family isn't easy, even with a good example. Because of her mother's personality, she doesn't have any friends to ask for help. That's why she asks Takai to try to understand her mother a little. Hiroki then apologizes for giving her too many details. It's just that she seems very mature for her age. Takai mentions that her mother sometimes doesn't take care of the house or her, and she wishes she was more responsible. However, she also works and does everything by herself, so Takai admires her. Hearing this, Hiroki thinks Takai understands her. The girl knows she could say more things about her mother, but she thinks it would be unfair to destroy the happiness she just found. Takai pauses for a moment, knowing that Nijima and Mai will be upset when they find out what happened. She also wonders if her mother is thinking of remarrying for her sake. Though knowing her mother, she's probably just thinking about herself. She meets up with the Nijima family and brings them together to share everything. Takai explains that she might have to move away because it seems her mother is planning on remarrying. Her boyfriend is moving to Saitama for work, and they're talking about living together. Hearing this, Nijima seems a little tense and comments, "Oh, it's just that." Judging by his expression, he thought it was something much more serious. He quickly reassures Takai that Saitama isn't far away, so they'll still be able to visit easily. Takai is surprised by this reaction, as he thought Nijima would be more affected. He replies that while he doesn't like the idea of seeing each other less often, they'll still be able to keep in touch. It's nothing compared to being separated by death. Mai, for her part, agrees with her father. Takai can't help but shed a few tears, though she excuses herself by saying that she's not crying, but rather dealing with a slight cold. Nijima is quick to mention that he'd love to meet Takai's mother, so he plans to invite her over for Christmas, so the three of them can celebrate together. However, Takai explains that he already has plans. He's going to a theme park with his mother and his mother's boyfriend, which leaves Nijima genuinely disappointed. He then mentions that he and Mai will be spending Christmas alone. Takai, however, is quick to suggest that Mai might want to spend Christmas with her boyfriend, to which Nijima reacts with surprise and concern. Mai, immediately remembering that she had been rejected, quickly reassures him that she'll be spending Christmas with him. Takai thinks that, while his mother's new home may not be ideal, it will suffice as long as it's comfortable and quiet. Meanwhile, Hiroki talks to Takai's mother. They discuss the upcoming move and living together. Takai's mother asks if he's sure they'll all be living together. Hiroki immediately says yes, saying that there will be enough room for the three of them and that they might want to time the move to coincide with the start of Takai's next school term. Before parting ways, Takai's mother tells him not to let her down at Christmas, as she's looking forward to visiting the theme park. For his part, Takai thinks that his mother seems more relaxed lately, which gives him a strange feeling. Although he hopes that she'll really enjoy the theme park, he finds it interesting that, with the three of them together, they almost feel like a real family. Before they leave, Takai receives a scarf from his mother, which she bought for him that day. When they reach the entrance of the park, his mother asks if he remembers being there before. However, it seems that Takai doesn't remember anything from before he regained his old memories. Without further ado, his mother apologizes to him. Meanwhile, Nijima and Mai are at a party. Although Mai seems a little out of place, Nijima immediately notices and asks her what's wrong. She mentions that it's a shame her mother couldn't come. Nijima quickly replies that maybe she's right, but perhaps this is her mother's chance to be happy. All they can do is hope that next Christmas they'll be together. Just then, Mai's phone rings. It's Renji. He apologizes for not being able to come and mentions that he'll be back earlier than expected, so they can go out tomorrow. After this, Mai heads back to continue celebrating with her father. Back at the theme park with Takai and his mother, the the latter receives a message. After a brief silence, she tells Takai that it is time to leave. Takai immediately senses what has happened and can only think that this must have hurt her. They decide to buy something tasty for dinner. Takai wonders what has happened to Hiroki, knowing that he was aware of how important this day was for his mother. Just then, they see him. He is with his other family. Without hesitation, Takai's mother resolutely goes to confront him. Here, finally, we learn her name, Chika, as Hiroki calls her. Chika confronts him, having discovered all his lies. Hiroki has another family. Back at home, Chika is in a terrible state. She keeps cursing Hiroki and starts destroying the room, unable to believe that he was married and had a child. She swears never to forgive him and decides to ruin his life, even wishing him dead. Now, she can only wonder what the point is in continuing to live. Meanwhile, Takai listens to her mother's regret, wishing she could say something to ease her pain, even though she knows that trying to talk to her now would only make things worse. Resolving to help in her own way, Takai decides to make her mother some food. She knows her mother will most likely refuse to eat it, or even get angry, but she can't ignore her. Takai Nijima isn't one to sit by and do nothing. As she prepares the dish, Takai thinks of everything her mother has done to try to be a family again. Although her mother has often ignored her needs, Takai understands that she just wanted a fresh start. Takai calls her mother to give her the food she made. Seeing her, Chika asks if she did it to cheer her up. However, she quickly tells her that it makes her feel even worse, and proceeds to call her a brat before sending her out of the room. Later that night, Takai returns to the kitchen and checks the trash for the plate, wondering if her mother threw the food away. Noticing that the plate is clean, she realizes her mother did eat what she made. A brief flashback reveals Chika tasting Takai's dish. Finding it delicious, she continues to eat it, crying as she does. The next day, Takai tells the Nijima family that she won't be moving after all. They understand that her mother's plans have been cancelled. Nijima, although happy, is a bit confused and tells her he hopes this doesn't complicate things at home. He asks what happened, but Takai quickly replies that it's hard to explain. Nijima suggests that the occasion calls for a barbecue. In the blink of an eye, the holidays are here, and even Takai's mother seems to have recovered, bringing peace back to their lives. We cut to Chika at work, where a co-worker offers to cover the rest of her shift so she can go home early, as she looks exhausted. She also gives Chika a small gift from her hometown, suggesting she share it with her daughter. Chika immediately wonders how she knew she had a daughter, as she had never mentioned it. The woman explains that she found out from their boss, who told her Chika was a single mother. The woman shares that she too was an only child raised by a single mother. Although she was rebellious at times, she now appreciates everything her mother did for her, understanding the challenges of raising a daughter alone. Chika wonders why she's sharing this, as they don't often talk. The woman explains that her mother recently passed away, and she had returned home for the funeral. She expressed gratitude for many things, but also felt regret, simply wanting to connect with another single mother. Chika arrives home to find a message on her answering machine from her own mother, asking for money. Later, she goes to Takai's room to give her some candy, but finding her gone, she goes out to look for her. Chika spots Takai with the Nijima family. At first, she doesn't do anything, just wondering who these people are with her daughter. Unbeknownst to them, she starts following, and when she sees them enter the Nijima house, she wonders how long this has been going on. She realizes that Takai's attitude and even her way of speaking have changed. Chika starts to question if this is truly her daughter. As Takai bids farewell to the Nijimas and promises to return the next day, her mother comes out to confront her. At that moment, Nijima notices that Takai left her phone behind and follows her to return it to her. Chika begins to question Takai, who is visibly confused, wondering why her mother is there and if she saw everything. Chika asks why Takai always seems depressed, but acts so normal around the Nijimas. She asks if Takai will betray her too, just like others have done. At that moment, Nijima arrives and tries to calm things down. Chika immediately demands to know who she is and what she is doing with her daughter. Nijima tells her that she shouldn't yell at Takai like that. Chika retorts that she should mind her own business, but Nijima calmly replies that as a parent, he is worried. He explains that parents scold their children to help them, while she seems to be taking out her frustrations on Takai. Chika, offended, asks if he is looking for trouble. Nijima calmly replies and says that he only wishes she would be nicer to his daughter. In response, Chika asks why Nijima would kick his own daughter out of his house. With great determination clenching his fist, Nijima replies that this girl is... If you've reached this point in the video, don't forget to leave the word exquisito in the comments. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.